I'm Jessica Peresta, host of the Elementary Music Teacher Podcast, a part of the Education Podcast Network. Shows on the network are individually owned and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
It's the Education Podcast, your favorite show, with lots of groovy guests and they share what they know. So crank it up to 10 and let your neighbors know that here's another show with Dr. Steve Milletto. Teaching, Learning, Leading K12. Teaching, Learning, Leading K12. Teaching, Learning, Leading K12. With Dr. Steve Milletto.
This is one of those episodes where I talk specifically about something that has to do with the classroom and or the school building. Yeah, and so it's just me today, and I'm going to talk about taking care of your substitutes. That's right. And what do I mean by substitutes? Talk about this substitute teacher. Yeah, because from time to time you might have to be out of the building. Like you've got to go to some professional development, or one of your kids is sick, or maybe you're sick. Maybe you're going to take a vacation. That would be cool. The point is, you're going to have to be out of the building. When you're out of the building, you have to schedule a substitute teacher. And all our schools do it a little differently, but it still means the same thing. You're out of the classroom and somebody's in your place in that classroom. Now, that can go really, really right, or it can go really, really wrong. And that's all up to you. Yeah, really, it is. Now, granted, there's a lot leaning on the quality of the substitute that you have, but there's also a lot leaning on you. Because the better you run your class while you're there in the building, the better they will behave when you are gone. The better they will, follow your expectations when you're gone. The better they will abide by your rules or thoughts of behavior and stuff like that when you're gone. So let's talk about something that's going to really help your substitute do well, and it's going to help you do right by your substitute teacher. Number one, you have to create a subfolder. Something that will truly help your substitute be successful is if you provide a substitute folder. And you're like, a subfolder? How is that helpful? Oh, glad you asked that question. Well, in this subfolder, you're going to have some specifics that are helpful to the substitute. And we'll talk more about them the next time we have a conversation. But first, I want to just tell you that you want to create a subfolder that you put inside there specifics that are going to help the sub be successful. You want to keep this up to date, and you want to place it in an area where it is easily found, and you want to do something like on your laptop or or you want the little watch that goes on your wrist, or, there's just so many different ways you could set a little alarm. That's right. An alarm reminds you that, hey, have you updated your subfolder lately? Huh? It's so cool how you can annoy yourself. And by annoying yourself, you make sure that you go, oh, I forgot. I need to update my subfolder. Because in the subfolder, you're going to have certain items that are going to help your substitute be successful, including assignments. And one of the things you want it to be is up to date, right? You want it to be up to date with where you are in the classroom. So you set that alarm for each week, and you just put whatever the new instructions are in that subfolder. One of the other things that you put in that folder, when we go through this list, you'll understand a little bit more, but you're going to put in a calendar or a schedule of events, and you're going to want to update that from time to time. If you're in a high school, a lot of times you have, everything from visitors, guest speakers, college representatives, to, some big pep rally or some big gathering of all the students at one time that totally disrupt the day. Or you have special bell schedules from time to time, and you make sure that you're following that and updating your folder so that the substitute's ready for that information when they get there. They see it in the folder, and they're like, oh, today's that special day. Got to make sure I follow this special schedule. But that's so helpful. One of the worst things ever as a substitute is to walk into a classroom and there's no information, nothing from the teacher, and instead you're just kind of like, well, I'm left to my own devices, so here we go. Yeah, the first day I substitute taught, I'll never forget this. I report. I'd been asked to sub in a high school in a neighboring county. I'd gone to this training in these two counties, and I said, I am a substitute, and I'd like to be one for you. And lo and behold, this first system gave me a call, and after that, they used me all the time. I got plenty of work. Well, on the first day, I meet this assistant principal at the school, and he says, hey, I'm so-and-so, and I'm going to take you to the room, and takes me to the room, unlocks the door, and we're in like this sub-basement of a basement of this high school. There is no other class down there. And you can see the other room that's down there, but he must not have had class, or she must not have had class until later in the day. And what this class was a graphic arts class. And the only thing from the teacher, because I asked him, I said, do you have any information about what needs to be done or where I should start or anything like that? And he said, oh, let's look. And so we looked around the teacher's desk. He went up to the mailbox and came back and basically said, it looks like you're on your own. I don't have any. He goes, if you need me, push that button and I'll come down and help you out. So we did find something, and it was sitting there almost kind of hidden on the teacher's desk. And it said, give the students this handout, collect it, put it back in the paperclip, and whatever you do, don't let them use the machines. Good luck. It said, and whatever you do, don't let them use the machines. Good luck. I always wish I'd saved that note. Don't let them use the machines. Good luck. And I had this work assignment that when I looked at it, I'm like, there's no way this is going to take more than 5 minutes. And sure enough, it took 5 minutes. One kid took 10, and I kept asking him, are you okay? Is everything all right? And he'd say, oh, yeah. He goes, I'm just trying to draw this out because I don't want it to end too soon because I don't know what you're going to do. I thought that was interesting and very telling. My point is that, you want to take care of your substitutes. And one of the ways you do that is by making sure that you have a subfolder that has information in it that the sub will need. You keep that subfolder up to date, and you place it in an area where it is easily found, and you place an alarm that reminds you and annoys you that what you got to do is make sure that weekly you look at that subfolder and see if you need to update it. And by the way, because some things are planned, some absences are planned, and you know exactly that this is when I'm going to be out, and others are not. I kid you not, they're not. You accidentally, disturb a yellow jacket nest and get stung by 1,500 of these angry little critters, or you fall out of a tree, or we're backing up in the driveway and you actually left the brake off and it ran smack dab into you or pinned you against the wall. There's any number of things that could happen to you, and suddenly you got to be out. Well, the worst time to be trying to update the subfolder is on the day you got to be out, because you might be in pain and you might have all kinds of problems going on. So for this little short visit with me, this episode of Teaching Learning Leading K12, I just wanted to remind you that this is about the classroom and the building. And today we're talking about take care of your substitutes. Create a subfolder, put information in that subfolder and keep it up to date. Place it in an area where it can easily be found. A nice colorful folder, bright orange, bright, psychedelic green, that neon colors or something like that. And on it is labeled subfolder. Read this first or something like that. And, and make sure that you place that alarm on your calendar that reminds you to update it. So important. Take care of your subs. We'll talk again soon, and when we do, I'll talk about what you should place in that subfolder. Thanks so much for listening. Have an awesome day. Hey, you have been listening to Teaching Learning Leading K12, a podcast to help you help kids achieve their dreams. Teaching Learning Leading K12 is a member of the Education Podcast Network. Podcasts for educators, podcasts by educators. Teaching Learning Leading K12 is a member of the podcast network based in Canada called Voice Ed Radio. Voice Ed Radio. Your voice is right here. The opinions expressed on Teaching Learning Leading K12 are those of the guests and host. Teaching Learning Leading K12 is intended to share ideas, advice, and suggestions. Teaching Learning Leading K12 is produced for educational purposes. Hey, thanks for listening. It would be awesome if you visited my website at stephenmiletto.com and connected with me, left a review, and listened to more episodes. And by the way, you could also share it with your friends, with your family, and your colleagues. Thanks so much. You're awesome.